Plans for a tabletop exercise come together, and State Representative Randy Hunt talks about the local war on drugs. Details on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Monday, April 1st, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin. Well, this Friday, senior officials with the Barnstable School District will gather at Mass Maritime Academy for a tabletop exercise in which they'll go through the motions of response to a school shooting. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mary Chkowski, has details about that exercise.
About a month ago, I was approached by Mr. McDonald, Chief McDonald, to participate in this first one-of-a-kind event for public schools around a tabletop exercise drill, and it was really in response, I think, to the tragic events that happened at Newtown, Connecticut. And so for the last month, the Chief and I have been attending a number of meetings to discuss this tabletop drill, and it's an exercise that's going to take place this Friday, April 5th, at Mass Maritime. And it's a hypothetical situation regarding a shooter in a school. And it is a discussion-based exercise. I want to emphasize that this is not where, there are any police officers or SWAT teams or anything going into schools, drawing guns or anything like that. This is purely a discussion-based exercise that will take place with a number of local and state and federal agencies. And it really is an opportunity for us in Barnstable to review our protocols and our practices in response to any type of an emergency. And, the efforts and the collaborative efforts on the part of the chief with respect to the people that are going to be sitting at the table during this exercise, ranging from MEMA to the FBI, to our local fire and police departments, our critical responders. And both Mr. Clark and I will be sitting at the table as active participants, and we will be allowed to sort of select 3 or 4 advisees that will be behind us at this table that we can call upon for any kind of advice. So we're not, I have never participated in anything like this before, but I think it's a very proactive and preventative way to look at how we handle emergencies. And most recently, the chief and I attended a statewide meeting for all police chiefs and superintendents around school security. And one of the ideas that we left with, or not really an idea, but it was a comment that was made by one of the participants, and that is, you never want to be in an emergency situation and then getting to know your local, state, and police officials. That is not the time to do that. So this is really an opportunity for us to really practice what we put into place and see how it works and learn from
Dr.
it.
Chkowski says the exercise will go through the scenario from beginning to end.
So they're going to present us with a scenario from, the first time we hear of the news all the way to the, after the impact afterwards with respect to counseling and crisis counseling and how we handle that as a school. So it's really going to be a very comprehensive scenario that we deal with from beginning to anywhere from 2 to 3 months outside of the actual events of how we're dealing with the aftermath of any kind of a tragic situation.
The Windmill Group of Washington, D.C. designed and will facilitate the exercise at no charge to the town.
And Ryan Windmill, who is the contact, is going to be sort of fielding all sort of press release calls. They've done this never in a high school public setting, but they've done it with Harvard University, and they're very, like as you said, they're very well versed in dealing with these kinds of situations, and to be able to do this on a pro bono basis for Barnstable, we've invited all of the Cape and Island superintendents, police chiefs, and high school principals to attend this event. I believe the event can hold upwards up to 200 people. I want to also thank Mass Maritime for allowing us and to host this event at their site as well. So it's going to be very exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking as well, because we're on center stage and everyone's going to have an opportunity to see how we deal and how we react to an emergency situation. But at the same time, I think there can be a lot of benefits that will come as a result of it. and a lot of sharing and a lot of collaboration, as you said, in communication.
The tabletop exercise will take place this Friday morning at Mass Maritime Academy in Buzzards Bay. Well, 7 young people have overdosed on heroin in the town of Yarmouth in the past month. 3 of those were fatal. State and local officials are working to find solutions to this terrible problem. State Representative Randy Hunt serves on the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Committee at the State House. He was a sponsor of the prescription drug omnibus bill that passed last year. Hunt says the bill includes some safeguards for those who experience or witness drug overdoses.
And it did include a piece to make Narcan more available, which is happening now. It also had a Good Samaritan piece to it that was actually taken out of our bill and put into the repeat offenders bill. But the Good Samaritan piece says, if you're in good faith and you call 911 to get help for somebody who is overdosing, you won't be arrested for possession of drugs. And that's a very important thing as well, because sometimes people are afraid to call 911. They're having some party at somebody's place, somebody's overdosing, and they don't want to call 911 because they fear that they're all going to be arrested. So this was also put in place last July. And there is some angst, I suppose, about the way the law is written as to whether it's only the person who is talking to 911 who is considered the Good Samaritan, or if you're overdosing, think you're going to overdose yourself. I suppose there's a possibility of that. You're also not going to be brought up on further charges if you call in if you're having a problem yourself. But as far as just the person calling, I think that is certainly not the way that it would be executed. There's no way that EMTs or police are going to show up to a situation where 4 or 5 people or whoever is there and then just say, who called 911 and arrest the rest of them. It's just not going to happen. So this is a good advance forward in the law as well to make sure that people get help and don't die of these overdoses.
Hunt says education is key to helping stop the problem before it starts.
Education is really part of it, and with the prescription drug bill, we require pamphlets to be put together to be given out with every prescription of these drugs, lock boxes that will be available to be sold right at the pickup counter at the pharmacies, so that parents, for example, can lock these drugs away for their kids when they have kids that may be having wisdom teeth taken out or sports injuries or whatever. And so education is a big part of not getting, not having people succumb to this addiction unknowingly. And then the other thing that we are looking at is we changed the requirements for the prescription monitoring database to require all doctors who prescribe opiate drugs to sign up. That will happen over a 3-year cycle as all of the doctors get their renewals for their licenses. And for the first time that any doctor treats a patient, a new patient, they will have to check that prescription monitoring database to see if that new patient might actually be someone who is doctor shopping, going around from one doctor to the next with the same ailment and trying to collect a bunch of prescriptions for the drugs. Those people who do that are obviously collecting those drugs to sell on the street, and so this is just one other way to try and nip that in the bud.
The AIDS Support Group of Cape Cod is offering Narcan training. You can learn more at asgcc.org. Town Council meets this Thursday night. Public hearings on the capital improvement plan are expected to take up the bulk of the evening. Council will also decide on spending $50,000 for a medical marijuana study and accept a grant for the Barnstable Police Department. Town Council meets this Thursday at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall hearing room. You can watch live on Channel 18. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.